George Floyd's family is suing Kanye West for $250 million after the rapper claimed George Floyd's death was a result of drug abuse and not from being murdered by a police officer. This is a very interesting story. So guys, we've all seen the Drink Champs interview, and Kanye West, you know what? Let me play the interview so you guys can see this mess of a person and what he had to say.
I watched the George Floyd documentary that Candace Owens put up. One of the things that his two roommates said was they want a tall guy like me. And the day when he died, he said a prayer for, 8 minutes. He said a prayer for 8 minutes. They hit him with the fentanyl. They hit him with the fentanyl. If you look, the guy's knee wasn't even on his neck like that. When he said mama is his girlfriend. They said he screamed for his mama. Mama was his girlfriend.
Man. So that stupid Candace Owens documentary that she has, like she's promoting under the Daily Wire, which is this white supremacist network. I can imagine that they're gonna come after her too once because this documentary has been released on their platform. I saw the trailer, unfortunately, of the documentary. Of course, I'm not gonna go watch the documentary, but I saw the trailer of the documentary and I saw where they were making these claims. And it's so crazy to me how, well, first of all, it's not true, right? Because the police officer, Derek Chauvin, was actually prosecuted for manslaughter. So there's actually, and yes, there was traces of fentanyl found in his bloodstream, but that was not the cause of his death. And we saw very vividly in the video of him getting his knee. But yeah, so this channel is not specifically about the cultural side of things, which I really break down on my other channel. I could get a little bit caught up and start going into those details. But on this channel, I really want to focus on the business side of this and this idea around free speech, right? Yes, you might have free speech, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to have to pay the repercussions of your actions, like Charlamagne said on The Breakfast Club. It doesn't mean you're not going to be sued. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get beaten up. It doesn't mean that something's not going to happen to you. And I think the way that social media is, and it's just this platform that amplifies our voices. Traditionally, you could have said these things and you're only saying it in front of a small group of people and not that big of a deal, right? But now if you broadcast this on social media, you're amplifying your voice. Now we have to hold you accountable. So yes, Kanye could go around saying whatever he wants to say. Doesn't mean you're going to not get sued. So let me go into some of the details of this lawsuit. So he's being sued on grounds of harassment, misappropriation, defamation, and infliction of emotional distress on George Floyd's daughter. And their lawyer said Kanye's comments are a repugnant attempt to discount George Floyd's life and to profit from his inhumane death, said the attorney Pat D. Dixon III. We will hold Mr. West accountable for his flagrant remarks against Mr. Floyd's legacy. So there's so many questions around why is there so much outrage? Because guys, yes, you just have to remember that the whole 2020 riots, that the Black Lives Matter riots that ensued because of George Floyd's death. That whole movement that we experienced in 2020 was because of George Floyd's death. And Kanye West is using this as an attempt to disqualify that. Candace Owens is the one that's really doing this. Candace Owens is the one that's doing this, but Kanye West is just like repeating what she's saying in her documentary. And so I really wonder if she's going to also get sued in her documentary. I think it's bound to happen, but it's very important that she gets sued. But I love that finally Kanye is getting his comeuppance, he's getting his comeuppance, because $250 million, that's a lot. That's a lot of money, you know. And apparently he's buying this app, Parler, which is Candace Owens' husband's app. He's the owner of that app apparently. And that is sort of like, let me actually show you a little bit what Parler is as an app, because they actually got banned from a lot of social media sites. They got banned from Google, iOS, Android, because of the nature of the app. But basically, it's a extremist, far right. Oh, man, I saw this thing. Oh, maybe I'll find it here. Maybe I'll find it on my phone. The description of their app. Hold on, Parler. So how Google defines is, Parler is an American alt-tech social networking service associated with conservatives. Journalists have described Parler as an alt-tech alternative to Twitter, and users include those banned from mainstream social media for who oppose their moderation policies. So basically, they just have a lot of extremists, conspiracy theorists, and that sort of things on their app. And so it would make sense that Kanye would buy that kind of app. And you know what? As long as the app doesn't become popular, send Sneeko there, send Andrew Tate there. Let them all go there and do their thing, because I still do believe in free speech. I just also agree with Google and YouTube, Twitter, and all these platforms removing these voices from their sites, because these are private companies. Yes, they're public companies, but they're run privately. They have their policies. So if you go against their policies, well, they don't want you on their platform. These companies are funded by not just themselves, but in the public market. And when we look at the mainstream audience, most people don't want the stuff that they're spewing on their platform. So it is what it is. So in respects to this whole like conversation that Kanye West was going on about on his like rants, okay, let's hear what Charlemagne has to say about this.
Jewish media, black media, trauma culture, trauma economy, the stuff that Charlemagne the God works for, stuff that Rosenberg works for, the stuff that academics, the guys that academics, you got to understand, all these people that y'all listening to out here, tell y'all, they're getting their checks cut. I need y'all to really respect what I'm doing, the stuff that I'm doing and I'm saying online, and love the fact, look, I got money, I got my songs. I could go off and just go to, Hawaii and live a nice life. That means that God has called me to sacrifice all of that in order to bring the truth. That's what I'm saying. They don't cut my check.
What do you say about Charlemagne? He just gets a check?
I have no idea. Kanye is so boring at this point because he's too predictable.
I mean, so he's going on this rant saying that, they're all, paid, like basically the right media is all paid and funded, and they have to sort of like dance like dancing monkeys or whatever he's saying. But the thing is that and then he's saying that God has sent him to send this message. It's very clear that he's having an extreme breakdown and he needs help. He was actually also on the Andrew Cuomo show. I believe it was yesterday, going on these, my bad, the echo. Yeah, so he was on the Andrew Cuomo show yesterday, just going on this rant, and Cuomo asked him about his health. Let's see a little bit of what Cuomo says with him, the conversation.
I don't have to say how much money's in my account. I don't have to say who I voted on. I don't have to say why I changed my name. The life for a black person in America is like a constant test. Even after we're out of high school, after we're out of college, we're always being questioned. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Do you think that I just had the right, and this is a rhetorical question because I don't want you to answer it. Do you think I had the right to just vote for Trump? I didn't even vote for Trump because of the people that were around me.
Yes, you have the right.
Okay, so for all of my fellow entertainers that know what I'm saying, I'm not speaking what is called hate speech. I'm saying something that happened out loud to me And what I'm saying is, when I said DEFCON 3, what I was saying is, I'm going to talk about all these things that I saw that just so happened to be by Jewish executives or Jewish friends of mine, where I saw people pulling my coattail, telling me behave, instantly running the narrative that I'm off, that you need to take your meds. Even this was not supposed to be this conversation. I don't get a clean platform to tell my truth without, okay, I don't have to say, me when I can get my
all right, good. Right after I ask you this, I'll give you the rest of the time before you go. Here's my concern for you. When I hear how you talk about your personal life and you put things out there and you get into these looping thoughts of what you believe, it sounds to me like you are sometimes out of control and that this is something that you should be dealing with. Now, I'm not excusing your thoughts as illness, okay? People attacked me for that and said, hey, just because you're concerned about whether Kanye West is taking care of himself emotionally and mentally.
My name's Jay, sir. My name's Jay.
Ye, I'm sorry. Ye is taking care of himself mentally and emotionally. You shouldn't say that. He has to be held to account for what he says. Both things can be true. Have you been taking care of your health? And in terms of making sure that you are behaving and thinking at your best?
I love what the way you worded it. What you don't realize is when it runs back, people are going to say, wow, have you been making sure you're behaving? If you run that back,
that's not what I'm saying.
You're going to be like, whoa.
That's not what I'm saying. You're trying to cheapen the point. I'm trying to make sure that you're healthy and you're taking care of your health.
Did you work out this morning?
No.
Okay. The thing is, okay, so when do I have a...
But I took my medicine.
But I took my medicine. Yeah, so it's just very clear that Kanye is a big old mess right now. He's just acting out, doing all sorts of things, going against, saying anti-Semitic things, saying racist things towards Black people. And it's almost like he's getting his comeuppance. You know, it's just the example of, yes, in the media, you can say whatever you want. Freedom of speech, that's important. But now you have to be careful, because I think in the stage that he's gone to, in how he's said so many awful things, it's going to be hard for people to want to work with him in the future. The Breakfast Club also interviewed 50 Cent, who addressed, will people work with Kanye in the future? And 50 Cent basically said no, because he goes after general people. Like 50 Cent, he's the king of beef, right? And he knows how to navigate beef and to get attention with beef, right? But 50 Cent's strategy when it comes to beef and still maintaining that attention is go after an individual, not a group, right? But what Kanye does is he goes after Black people, he goes after Jewish people, he goes after Adidas corporations, and you don't know who you're offending when you go after a group. So it's going to be very hard for him to find strong business relationships moving forward. This is why the question that Andrew Cuomo asked, are you taking care of your health? It seems clear that he's in an extreme situation. Even Donald Trump said that he's acting a little crazy. So this whole Kanye situation is quite disturbing, what's happening to him. And the whole thing that he said on Drink Champs was absolutely false, offensive, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. So he has this $250 million lawsuit. Sure, Yeezy is worth $10 million. That's not liquid cash, by the way. That lawsuit, you're going to have to pay it in cash. Right. So I think it's a good thing because it's going to hold him a little bit accountable. It's his comeuppance, because they're probably going to win this lawsuit. They're probably going to win this lawsuit because, like I said, George Floyd's murderer was prosecuted for manslaughter. Right. It was proven in court that these things did happen. So what Kanye is saying is factually incorrect, same as Candace Owens. So all of them are going under. So he thinks he's going to be able to buy this Parler app. No, you're not going to be able to buy it. Well, maybe he will, but it's going to be hard for you to maintain that because that's a lot of money that is going to be taken from you in cash. in cash. So another thing that people were talking about is Noor. He went on the Breakfast Club to apologize. So let me play a little bit of what Noor had to say on the Breakfast Club.
I just, I disagreed with Kanye. I felt like I should have said something a lot earlier. I didn't because I didn't want him to walk out. I didn't want to have a Birdman moment.
So Nori, people would say that, we're talking to Nori from Drink Champs, of course. He who just released the interview with Kanye. People would say, well, why do the interview at all? Especially with all the hate speech that he's been spewing the last couple of days, and he's been.
You had Fox News. You had Tucker Carlson edit out all his anti-Semitic comments. You saw the shop say that they wasn't going to put out the hate speech. We saw all of the things Kanye was texting and tweeting and everything else. Why even do the interview at all?
Why even do the interview?
That's a great question. And the thing is, that's like people talking about Charlamagne. People talk about Charlamagne and say Charlamagne is an asshole or Charlamagne is a dick. But then Charlamagne doesn't show that to me. So I gotta treat Charlamagne how Charlamagne treats me.
Nice try, Noor. So apparently Noor was even going on, allegedly, he was going on Twitter boasting about the views. Because I think when I saw the interview, which was like 20 hours later, it had like 1.6 million views. So like, I think Noor was like boasting on Twitter about how, it's getting so many views and all that stuff. And it's very clear that, and they kept it on for, I believe, like a day and a half or longer before they took down the interview. So I saw maybe like 2 days after is when they took down the interview. And that was the decision of Revolt, probably Noor as well, to take it down. So it's clear that he did that interview for views. It's clear that he did it for attention. Because I remember seeing the thumbnail and I was like, why would Noor take an interview with Kanye right now? He's like, nobody wants to hear from him right now. You're going to give him your platform? So it's just kind of funny to me that Noor then comes on the Breakfast Club to apologize. I think it's because, everybody has been saying this, that is because of the George Floyd lawsuit, which they announced yesterday. They didn't say the amount yesterday, but they announced the lawsuit yesterday. So it seems as though that's the reason that Noor came out and started talking out and trying to apologize and saying, I don't agree with him, blah, blah, blah. And even though he said the interview was 3 hours long and he did give some pushback on Kanye. He said he gave some pushback later in the interview, but in the moment when it happened, he didn't want Kanye to walk off. It's a poor excuse. Ultimately, you have a massive platform. Kanye has come to use you for your platform because he knows there's so many people that won't speak to him. And Andrew Cuomo if you watch the Andrew Cuomo interview, he interrupts him at every moment that he speaks. He keeps interrupting him because he's saying, first of all, he's saying anti-Semitic things. So he's like, I'm not going to let you get away with saying these things. That's just what I mean. That is journalism. That is accountability. Yes, Noor is trying to lean on the idea that he's not a journalist. But this is the problem with podcasting, right? You're leaning on this idea that you're not a journalist. You need to learn accountability and how it's supposed to be done professionally. Now, the only reason why Andrew Cuomo would take him on his show is because Andrew Cuomo is no longer with CNN. He's on News Nation, right? And they need the viewership. They need the clout. So they would take Kanye West. But do you think Andrew Cuomo on CNN, when he was on CNN, would take an interview with Kanye West? Absolutely not. So it's all these platforms that need the clout. Noor has probably the number one hip hop show, in the world right now. Okay, maybe the Breakfast Club. Well, I would say the Breakfast Club is more mainstream, but Drink Champs is the number one hip hop show. So you don't need Kanye West, and you could have turned him down. And you were told, Charlamagne the God told him not to put Kanye on, but he still did it because he wanted the views. So I just think it's really funny that now that you hear about this lawsuit, all of a sudden you're claiming, you're just kind of backtracking, and it just kind of shows a lack of accountability. And just it's not just a lack of accountability, but especially when you think about all the people that he offended Kanye with his conversations about Jewish people, all the people that he's offended. When you see even Fox News edited out all his Jewish hate speech, right? They edited all of that out. Where's the accountability amongst black platforms? Why aren't black platforms editing out obnoxious things that are being said? Why aren't black platforms holding themselves accountable or deplatforming people that say extremely offensive things to the black race? The Jewish platforms do that, even though Fox is not Jewish. But let's say the white platforms, they do that for themselves, even in a small subset of their race, right? So why aren't the black platforms doing that either? Anyway, so these are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with Kanye? Do you disagree with Kanye? And what are your thoughts on this lawsuit? Basically, I just wanted to really just address this whole defamation suit and the fact that freedom of speech, you can't come on and say whatever you want and think you're not going to experience the repercussions of your actions. That's number one. Number two, well, that's the main point. But number two, this new social media age that we're in, your voice is amplified, right? So you have to be accountable and you have to be careful what you say and how you say it. When you get deplatformed from YouTube, the most accessible streaming platform in the world, with over, I think, 2 billion daily users, something crazy like that, biggest streaming platform in the world, biggest search engine in the world, second biggest after Google. These platforms literally are, as much as they're they're public companies, but they're kind of privately run, but it's a public resource and it's your way to communicate with the world, right? But you don't confuse that with your freedom in the real world to move and say what you want. Your voice is being amplified on those platforms, and that's why they have to hold you accountable, and they have community service guidelines to prevent you from saying what you want to say. But the problem is, in the real world, if Kanye West was standing in the stadium, let's say not like he's just standing as just an audience member in a stadium, and he said whatever he wanted to say, he would probably get beaten up, right? He would probably get beaten up. But now he hides behind a camera and says it, or hides behind his tweets and says it, and thinks he's not going to get his comeuppance. Yes, you're going to get sued. Yes, you're going to have all these things that happen to you. And it is what it is. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. Guys, like this video, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let's get this video up in views. So let me get can I get 30 likes in this video, guys? 30 likes so that you guys can see more of my commentary and all that stuff. Anyway, see you next time. A peace and stream.